Today's talk, you may have noticed if you were looked at your bulletin, is called A Ticket to Be a Blessing. And everybody got a ticket today for something. You don't know what. But when I think of a ticket, usually it means to me I'm going somewhere. I'm headed this song just very affected me very highly today. Hearing that, and I picture it's where I personify God, and I picture taking God's hand and walking, and we shall see the world through truth. We shall see the world through love. We shall see, and I know that I'm safe as long as I'm with God. I am safe. Now, why would the word safe come up unless I think I'm in danger? And that's what I need to pay attention to. It's like, I a dozen times a day think I'm somehow in danger. Somebody looks at me. I have a feeling of discomfort in some way. They're predicting rain for next Friday. And so I'll be in danger today over next Friday. And so to look at all this stuff, it's, but I have a ticket to be a blessing. I bought a ticket to be a blessing. And the ticket I bought was life. I came into this body to be a blessing. I didn't know that at the time, and nobody was telling me that as a child. But it makes sense. It really makes sense that we all came into this life to be a blessing. And sometimes being the blessing is receiving the blessings. Sometimes it's being proactive in giving the blessing. And anybody here watch Schitt's Creek? Yeah. There was an episode where the father and daughter came out of there. Or no, he was in the apartment, whatever it was. But he said, "I've got a favor," and he was needing a favor, but she said, "Really, what?" She assumed he had a favor to offer, because he said, "I've got a favor or something to ask. What is the favor you want to give me?" And it's like, and it was very confusing. And he said, "Who says I've got a favor to give?" But we do. We have a favor to offer ourselves and each other. And the favor is to be kind, is to be loving, is to be present. And it doesn't mean to be codependent. It means to just see another person beyond what I'm thinking about them. And I'm having to learn this more and more. But last week, and to see yourself as more than you think about yourself. Would you please, all of you, see yourselves as more than you see yourselves? More and better. Last week, I really had the blessing. I went to North Carolina, Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. I'd never heard of this town before last year. I mentored a minister there at Crystal Coast Unity in Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. It's right over from Beaufort. Not Beaufort, Beaufort. Beaufort's in South Carolina. Beaufort is right next to Morehead City, right across the bridge from Atlantic Beach. And because I have mentored this minister through the field ministry program, he asked if I would please come and ordain him. And it was a splendid ceremony. Oh my goodness. We get there. And their church, I would love for us to have their building. It's not a huge building. I would just love to have it. It's got parking. It's got its own space. It's downstairs. And I was there, and they had the biggest crowd they've ever had. They had 100 people. They've never had 100 people before in all the years they've been up. And they had all the previous ministers there to be part of the ceremony. And each one of them, and the pioneering minister is my best friend in all of Unity, besides David, of course. But as far as the Unity ministers go, Reverend Russell Highland, he's spoken here before. He's now minister of Fairfax, Virginia. But Russell, so they rented a condo for he and his husband and myself on the beach. Thank you. And but all the previous ministers, they all did a passage on the 5 principles of unity. And they were oh so wise. These people, one couple, you look at them and you think, they are so old. How are they ever going to get up here and say anything? Husband and wife team that were there. And they got up and they were hysterically funny. And wise, and you just think, how? And then they do. And you see spirit flow through them. And so I was giving the keynote. And I had to realize, oh, wait a minute. It's not that, oh, I'm this kid with all these wise ministers. I'm one of them. I'm one of the wise ministers, and I'm giving the keynote. I've been invited to do the reason for today, besides the recipient. I am here to declare this man officially a unity minister. I have the script to prove it, that I'm the one to do it. And I took that on just before I walked up to the pulpit. Because at first I thought, oh gosh, these people, they all know each other. They all been here. Look how smart they are, how wise they are. And wait a minute. No, I'm Shawn Moninger. And they're thrilled. They can't wait to hear what I have to say. And I could take that in. And it wasn't arrogance and it wasn't ego. I received my blessing by saying yes to the invitation. And then I showed up to do what it is I do well. And so it was a beautiful exchange. And they bought me a plane ticket to get there. I had a ticket to go to Atlantic Beach to be a blessing. And so when I said yes to the ticket, then I have to be a blessing the whole way there. The drive on the highway to get there. Where I parked the car, I had to go be a blessing. On the plane, at the airport, in the airport, I had to go be a blessing rather than a complainer. It wouldn't, if I'm here to be a blessing, there's no point in complaining about construction at LaGuardia. If I'm here to be a blessing, who does it serve? Now, some of you may have seen what I put up on Facebook, because I was sitting having lunch beforehand, and through the window, they're doing construction on this building at LaGuardia, and I could see a gate number where the construction is. I took a picture. I said, I hope that's not my gate. But it turns out I had to walk just on the other side of the wall from that construction. And I had the blessing of walking at least 20 minutes to get to my gate from where that lunch was. Oh, I was so blessed. I got a lot of exercise getting to the gate. At one point, you may have seen the second picture, through a doorway window, I could see there's a gate, a big hole there, dirt and everything, and a crane pulling things out. And I just had to laugh. I thought, this is 10 gates away from my gate. And to look at it all and have fun with it, instead of projecting the worst. It's too easy to declare the worst when traveling. And we're traveling through this world. And I asked Kenneth to do that song today because I'd like to see us to see the world in truth instead of what we are told is wrong with it. I have no inherent knowledge that there is something wrong with the world. But people have told me. I've watched television. I had parents. Anybody? I was brought up to think there was something wrong with the world. And then on TV, they told me there was stuff wrong with the world. And I had other teachers and things and friends. And I don't want to keep thinking there's stuff wrong with the world. I would rather think we forgot. And now we can remember the truth. Wouldn't that be nice if we just forgot what's true about the world? Because the world is not this physical stuff. The actual world is what we think about the world. Because the physical just keeps changing and shifting. And as I say, the problem with the world is that there's people in it. That's the problem with the mall. It's the problem with unity. It's the problem with all churches. Problem with our political places. There's people there, and they're confused. They have forgotten the light that they are. And so, it's my job to remember it. I have a ticket to be a blessing. I have a ticket to remember who and what we are. And now you have a ticket today, because I gave each and every one of you a ticket today to be a blessing. But there's a prize coming for at least one of you. No, just one of you from that. And so to look at this and think, oh, so the world isn't what the newspapers tell me it is. And the world isn't what any of the news stations tell me it is. Because remember, every news station has a slant towards an odd. It's like the books of the Bible. The four Gospels each have a slant geared toward the audience that the writer was writing it. And so if you read those four Gospels, you'll say, oh, they're trying to get us to look at it this way, and this one trying to get us to look at it this way, and this one. And so you get into that, and that's where you start to see people's prejudices, their bigotry, what have you, and it's like, oh, there's a slant. And so any of the news stations, they all have a slant. If we began to look at the news as entertainment, because that's really what it is. It's an entertainment designed to sell advertising. And the advertising is there to get us a slant, to buy something. We don't have to hate those people. They're just in business. You know, people complain about the National Enquirer, and I say, if nobody bought it, it wouldn't exist. But people buy it. And then, for some reason, they instead of looking at it as fantasy, Elvis is still driving around somewhere. You know, Marilyn Monroe is still having affairs with people. It's a bizarre thing. And so we look at this fantasy and we listen to this fantasy, and we start to think, oh, it's true. And then we start to hate. More than we love, we start to hate. And when we hate, we're no longer a blessing. We have an obligation, as far as I'm concerned, to be a blessing. And we have a ticket to be a blessing. When Kenneth sang that song, I just thought, what if we all decided the world in its physical form is not the reality, but the world in light is the reality? Imagine looking from that you're looking out your door, which is your eyeballs, really, from your mind, and you say, I insist on seeing light today. I insist on seeing what is, because I don't want to tell myself what isn't anymore. I don't want to use past behaviors. I don't want to use how people have treated me in the past as my information of what's wrong. It's only valuable if it can point me to what's right, to what is true, to what is kind and loving, and how I can think differently about my mind, about my body, and about your mind, and about your body. And if I could think differently, meaning in truth, about the street that I walk down or drive down, that I can, look, this is my version of the Bible, but that I can look at this, and I can open it up, and I can find some piece of wisdom in it rather than something scary. I think, this is my opinion, we have learned enough through fear. Fear has served us. Now let's learn through light. I've been working on resentments lately. Not getting them, but relieving myself of them. I spent years getting them. Oh, I worked hard for my resentments. Anybody? You know, you convince yourself you're right about how you have been wronged. And the payoff has never quite, we're still waiting for the payoff on those things. And the problem is so many of those people that we're waiting the payoff on, they're dead. They're not coming back to apologize. Some of them don't even know they did to us what they did to us. And they only did it because they were confused, because they forgot. And they didn't notice this beautiful light that I am. And how many things have you ever done to yourself because you didn't realize the beautiful light that you are? It's a toughie. As I say very professionally, ministerially, it's a toughie. Some of these things. Let me look at. Let's us look at this. It comes from the book of James. James 12. Oh, actually, it's James 1, verse 12. Blessed is the person who perseveres under trial. Means, blessed are you who remember to use all things to practice the true desire of the heart. For with practice and focus, your true desire stands clear within your sight until the naturalness of your being is as natural in your awareness as true desire is now in the quiet of your heart. God is the truth within you. It does not tempt. God is. But God can be denied through your desire to do so. Do not be unaware of this desire. It is there within your mind, but it's a false desire that lingers from a moment of the past. In your weariness, you follow it in habit, but in your alertness, you remember to place this worn-out desire aside. Be quick to listen to the true desire of the heart, and you are quick to realize the joy of your truth. So, all things can be used for good. Go ahead and use them for good. All things. Many of us have seen things that we thought we would never heal from, that we would never recover from. And we have. And we're better, and we're stronger, and we're more conscious, and we're more aware, and we better have the ability to be, not we better have, but we're more able to have the ability to be a blessing. To bless is to invoke good upon. If I bless you, I am invoking good upon you. Bless you. Not bless your heart, but bless you. I mean it. But to bless you is to invoke good upon. An actual blessing is the power of multiplication. And so mountains of blessings to all of us and to all of them who are part of all of us. And so to look around and say, okay. Sometimes we forget. I called somebody the other day who's had a huge resentment towards me, since Easter. Because I had Dave and I had a little brunch at our house after the service on Easter, and I invited some people from outside of here to come here to church and then come to our house for brunch. At least 10 of them did. One person was so angry that they couldn't come to my house without first coming to church. And they talked about it with everybody but me. Never came to me to say, Shawn, I just can't go. Never did that. Decided to be mad at me instead. And hadn't spoken to me in weeks. And this week I called them and I said, let's talk about this because this is nuts. That you're not speaking to me over this. But you're speaking to everybody else. But you never came to me. You could have come to me and said, Shawn, I just can't. And I would have said, come to brunch anyway. But that opportunity, and she said, I didn't have those tools to use, Shawn. I couldn't do it then. I could only yell at you at that point, so I didn't talk to you at all. Because of what was going on in her mind. I have to experience forgiveness around that because that was honest. It's where she was. She took my call this week. So this is where she is now. So the resolution wasn't a strong resolution in that, oh my goodness, that's what you're thinking, Shawn. I didn't know that. Because I said, I'm surprised you didn't trust me. You hear me speak all the time in our groups. I was just shocked you wouldn't have trusted me. I'm not here for conversion. I wanted to share what I do. And I knew in our conversation she wasn't really ready to hear that, but she was happy that we were speaking. It's a start. And I'm not here mad at her. I'm not feeling that itch in my heart when I see her now. Because I have got to be free. I've just got to be. If I'm going to be the light they promised me I could be when I came into unity, I've got to be setting myself free. You have to set yourselves free. If you are holding a grudge in your heart, you've got to find a way to set yourself free so that you can claim your zeal. so that you can find what you think you've lost or that there is a lack of. There is no lack of it. And so today I wanted to be a blessing or offer a blessing here in our travels. We have this wonderful prayer called the prayer for protection. And I happen to have an extra one of these at home. And it lights up. And it's the prayer for protection. This thing comes out, and then it doesn't light up. But you leave it in there. And I just thought it was lovely. So I thought I will give everybody a ticket today, and somebody gets to go home with this. Oh. Well, it's something different in church, isn't it? So get your tickets out. I did not give David a ticket. David's blessing is he lives with me. We all got our tickets out?
Shawn, I was going to say vice versa.
Well, don't want to build up his head. So, our ticket number is 536. Anybody? 308.
That's me.
Congrats. Tim said you guys always win.
Oh, you did.
You'll get this afterward.
Okay.
Yeah. Congratulations. What's nice is nobody had to buy anything to get this. Everybody had a fair chance. And congratulations. A blessing. It's a blessing that I'm giving. The Ericksons are receiving. You all are also giving the Ericksons this. Because you had as much chance to take it home as they did. And so it is your gift to them to enjoy. So, yay. I love that. Ticket to be a blessing, people. Accept it. Take God's hand. And travel your travels. Knowing you are a blessing. Thank you.